My journey to political and community organizing really began with my parents. They were ministers, educators, and people who taught us Christ through the tradition of social justice. So we really worshiped a table-flipping Jesus who is committed to the poor, to the destitute, to people who are locked out of society. And we understood our mission both as Christ followers and as African Americans who owe a great debt to the legacy that was laid before us, that it's our responsibility to pay attention not just to charity, but to solidarity, to be really conscious of the practices and policies that happen at the systems level, how that affects us as people of color, and what we are poised to do about it. So I've been marching my whole life, I've been protesting my whole life, and when Michael Brown Jr. was killed in 2014 in my hometown of St. Louis, I found myself right there out on the streets of Ferguson with thousands of fellow community members committed to seeking justice for our children and for our community. Shirley Chisholm was such a pioneer. She gave voice to immigrant communities, to young women, to people of color, and the pride and dignity that she had in all of her work while she stood up with and for people of all backgrounds is something that is deeply inspirational to me. My favorite Shirley Chisholm quote of all time is, "If they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair." I like to take it even a step further and bring in 5 more people with me just to ensure that our voices are heard. And that's the kind of tenacity that people like Shirley Chisholm and so many others inspire in myself and my fellow colleagues in the work of social justice. So when I think about her tradition and when I think about where we are right now, I remain committed to moving forward toward justice, toward equity, toward love for all people, and not just in opposition to the things that oppress us. I believe that if we knit together movements that are really committed to something and not just working against something, we really have the opportunity to last. When I think about what we can do to create a more just world and really reform the criminal justice system as it is, I am overwhelmed by the amount of possibility. I often like to think about social justice work as a toolbox. If I'm building a house, I'm not going to open that toolbox and only use a hammer. We have the tool of protest, we have the tool of policy, we have the tool of voting and voter engagement, we have the tool of lifting our voices and speaking and using every single medium we have at our disposal to make sure people's voices are heard and their stories and humanity are recognized. So I believe we have to employ all of those things. I've spent a lot of time working in policy, but I never stopped marching in the streets because the best ideas and the most knowledge about how criminal justice really affects our community came directly from the streets, directly in community with my people. Black women have always been at the forefront of political activity and social justice, even when we haven't been recognized for it. I think of Shirley Chisholm and Fannie Lou Hamer, Ida B. Wells, who made sure that the national scourge of lynching was on everybody's mind. If it were not for Black women, we would not have advanced to the point where we are now. And if it is not for Black women, we won't make any progress moving forward. I am Brittany Packnett, and I've been boss.
Show how you have been boss and shop our original BEENBOSS tees, available now on www.walkerslegacy.com.